Hello there, my name is Chang. I'm always climbing, and in this video I want to talk about how to go ahead and improve shoulder mobility or get shoulder mobility back, or just have the general ability to move your shoulders in whichever way, shape, and form. Now, first off, the most important exercise, if I was to give you one or maybe two, and I do highly recommend this if you don't do anything else, literally just do this and you'll be nice and dandy, will be the overhead press. The great thing about the overhead press is it strengthens your shoulder in the range of motion where we want it to be strong in, which is to be up and slightly behind your head. If you do nothing else but just do overhead press, and the weight you use does not need to be great, it could legitimately be just the 45-pound bar or a little bit more weight if you want a little bit more challenge, or it could just be some dumbbells that are a little bit lighter. The only thing that's important here is if you move the weight through a full range of motion, not specifically in the bottom because that's not the most important part, but at the top. When you push it up and behind your head, the weight must go up and behind your head. The second that weight does go up and behind your head, if you look, we have that great shoulder flexion. But if you simply do just that one exercise on a regular basis, weight is totally irrelevant, it just has to be a little something, then you will be able to maintain that shoulder mobility, flexibility, more or less for the rest of your entire life until you get super old and then you start to hunch over like a ninja turtle. But till then, you have many great years of being able to move your shoulder up and behind your head, which is arguably the #1 range of motion that people do not have. And then if you go ahead and you combine that with a little something known as a dead hang. I failed to capture dead hang footage because I didn't feel like it. But when you're performing a dead hang, most people will grab the bar and lean up and backwards like this. While this is a great starting position for pull-ups, it does not allow you to do the most amount of stretching possible. Instead of leaning backwards, we want to go ahead and take those arms and push it directly behind our heads, just in the exact same manner that we would do a overhead press that goes behind our head. While in this position and hanging down, gravity will start to rip your goddamn chest, your lats, it'll pull your shoulders nice and high in a very effective stretch that hits more or less your entire torso in all the correct spots that you need it to in order to have great shoulder mobility, flexibility. Now, in order to help activate this behind the head motion when you're hanging, if we take a look at my scapulars right here, what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna actively squeeze them behind my head. When I actively squeeze them behind my head, my elbows might actually start to bend a little bit. That's totally all right, because what we really want here is to build a strong contraction going backwards with as straight as arms as we can. As you get better at doing this, you will be able to completely retract while your arms are completely straight. But during your first few times, you will notice that your arms might still be slightly bent. That's totally fine. Just focus on straightening them. You will also slightly may have experienced what's known as a big ass motherfucking cramp in your back, scaps, rear delt, whichever it is, because just actively pinching while hanging is a lot more difficult than it appears. I feel it right now, and there's like literally no resistance on me besides the fact that I'm going ahead and I'm actually pinching. When you do that, that's gonna force your chest forwards. It's gonna open you up, and it's gonna be fantastic. So quick recap, if you don't do anything else, you simply do overhead press, ba, ba. Once you're done with your set of overhead press, and the weight could be nice and light or moderately heavy, does not need to be heavy to be honest, you're gonna then go ahead and do your set of dead hangs where you're actively squeezing your back just like that to get the benefits out of it. You do that and your shoulders will have the ability to go like wee. Is a pretty nice thing. Now let's say you want to go even further than that, and you want to make sure your shoulder blades, your scaps, your upper back, all that upper region is as good as it could possibly be in all its possible ranges of motion. In which case, we have to work it in all its possible ranges of motions. So let us first begin by learning how to actually protract. Protract means to bring our shoulders forward, and then retract, which means to pinch our upper back together. A very simple exercise. to learn that will be to find a nice floor and just perform some protractions. Right now I'm doing it on my knees, but it can definitely be done in a push-up position. All you're gonna do is you're gonna actively first straighten your elbows. We want to have straight elbows because otherwise you might just start to do micro push-ups, and we really don't want that. We want all the motion to come from the chest sinking down and it being pushed up. Now, if you do a lot of calisthenics, then you kind of know exactly where I'm going with this. But all we're going to do here is actively first begin with a far push off position, almost kind of like a hollow body hold. In fact, like a hollow body hold. Really protract, and then with the elbow straight, sink down, and really try to squeeze the scaps together. And then push one more time for one more rep. We're gonna go down, and as I'm going down, I am actively engaging and squeezing my scaps. All right, so I'm squeezing my scaps. Oh wow, that's intense. And then I'm actively pushing away as hard as I can. The key thing when it comes to this movement is you're not letting gravity take over, right? You're not letting gravity just pull you down. No, you're squeezing yourself down, squeezing your upper back, and then you're pushing against the ground. Even though this is indeed isometric, you must continue to push. Even when you reach the peak, just keep pushing and pushing to build that ability to protract and understand what it feels like to move your scap. And now the next thing is I'm gonna teach you how to do some arm circles. Now you may think you know arm circles, and I would say, yeah, you probably do, but did you know this? Now, first off, arm circles can be done with the palms facing down or facing up. Depending on which one you choose, it will feel slightly easier to harder. Me personally, up right here, it's a little bit harder compared to down. When we do the arm circles, okay, you might get a little bit lazy and just do it kind of like this, which isn't bad. But I would like to say that if you want it to be good and active and build strength in extended range of motion, then we're going to take that shoulder. Let me exaggerate it, by the way. We're going to take that shoulder and actively extend it outwards as far as we can. So instead of a normal arm circle happening right here, we're going to push it out as far as we can. Of course, we could do it two arms at once, but then I won't be able to point. So I shall do this one arm at once. We want to extend it out as far as we can. Now it's engaged. And then we can start to do our circles. And again, we have the variation of palm down and the variation of palm up. Likewise, we have going in the opposite direction. Now, all of that is very basic, and I'm sure you already know that, except for maybe the extension part. And then we have the range of motion side forwards. With it forwards, everything is the same, right? Palm up or palm down, whichever is you prefer. And then we could either do it with the shoulder directly being forced forward or the shoulder back. I recommend you do both. Let me go with kind of like a forward approach this time. And when I'm twisting or when I'm pushing the shoulder forward, I'm not allowing my torso to switch because then that'll kind of ruin the purpose. I'm still going to be nice and square. And then I could do arm circles in front of my body. The reason why we're doing this is just to hit that shoulder from all its possible ranges of motion. Because if you play something like a sport or you dance or you do something like that, we understand that the arm is going to move through all of this available range of motion in space. That's why people that do like the hammer swing stuff, mallet stuff, I don't know what it's called, forgive me, they tend to have pretty good shoulder mobility and health, along with elbow and wrist. Pretty good, but not my cup of tea. I'm more of a stretching and climbing type of guy. Anyways, as I was saying, my right arm is getting tired, so I'm going to switch to my left. We have that range of motion. And then we also have the ability to put the hand above our bodies. Typically, this above our body range is where maybe the most important range of motions happen, because this is where people are typically a little bit tighter. In order to help kind of loosen it up, floss it out, make it not so tight, we're going to perform arm circles above our head. These, I think, are god darn amazing, fantastic, one would say. And not to say it's anything new or anything of that nature, But I think a lot of people are just used to arm circles being to the side of their body, so they forget that, hey, your arms can also move above your head. If you want to go ahead and make your arm circles even more arduous, and I do think this is a pretty good idea, honestly, you could attach some form of a band to your hand, attach that thing to, say, a wall or a table or anything, and then with that tension, tension, bah, and then when you do your arm circles, you could have this nice little strengthening phase with a little bit of resistance as well. And then you can also turn it in a circle, mess around like that to experiment with a different type of resistance on your arm, shoulder, elbow. Just generally very good for your joints. Anyways, I'll probably make a separate video on that, but now you know.